So today I'm going to show you how to create a simple visual logic application that uses an array to capture 10 numbers, and then it loops through those 10 numbers and displays the sum of the 10 numbers. So the first thing that we're going to do is, I'm starting with a blank program. We're going to start with an output that basically will tell us captures 10 numbers and outputs. Let's do this. This program and outputs the sum. Okay. I'm not sure why it chose to move over there. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an array. And so we're going to be using the, see if I scroll this down a little bit, make array. When I double click on it, not sure why it's doing this to me here. I'm going to call this my array. I like to follow a standard naming convention with a lowercase starting and then camel casing. And the upper bounds on this is 10. So it's 10 in size. Okay, so that I've created an array called my array that has 10 storage spots. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to input into this array user input. And the way that I want to do this is to use a for loop so that it goes through each of those 10 spots and allows for input. So let's go for loop here. Now we need to define the for loop. And so I usually use count as the name inside the for loop. Basically, that's the variable name that's going to be going. We're going to be going from 0 to 9 in our loop, in our array. Our array really is, it has 10 storage spots, but the storage spots are referenced starting at 0 and ending at 9, so that's why we're doing it that way. Okay, so now I've got my for loop. Now, inside of here, I'm going to put an input. And so we're going to call the variable that we input. It's actually going to be my array. That's what we're going to do. But then in parentheses here, we're going to put count because it's going to take whatever number we're on, starting at 0, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3, through 9. It's going to put that number right in there. Then if I click more here, I can tell it to prompt, enter a number for the array. Okay, and click OK there. Now this is what our program looks like. All right, so this is going to capture each of the elements that we want. Now I'm going to actually go through another loop that adds them up. Now we could have added them up here, but I'm trying to show you the use of an array and a loop associated with it. So the next thing we're going to do, first of all, as we go through the array, we're going to accumulate the sum. So I'm going to create a variable here. We're going to call it sum, and we're going to start it, it'll start at 0 to begin with. Okay, and then we're going to do our for loop, and it's going to have count again from 0 to 9, just like our other one. Now this time, within the loop, we're going to be doing an assignment. And the assignment is sum equals sum plus my array count. What this does is it will accumulate, keep accumulating the value as it loops through the array. So the first time it'll do the first element of the array and whatever the value associated with that is. And then the next time it will do the second value of the array, and it'll take whatever the first value was and add it to the second value, and so forth until it goes through the entire array. And so the result of our program then looks like this, and the last thing that we need to do is output. And so I'm going to double click on the output here. There we go. I was looking for it to do that. I'm going to say here, the sum of the values of the array are, I put a space right there, plus, and I'm going to put sum. Sum is the, I don't know why it's doing that exactly. It's trying to help me. Sum, again, is that variable that we've been accumulating the sum on. So here is what my program looks like in total. Starting at the begin, make array, creating our array, looping through a loop here to add values from input, keyboard input, and then starting again with a loop and accumulating the sum, taking the value out of the array, and then ultimately at the end showing an output. So if we are to run this, then first of all it's going to display this output. The program captures 10 numbers, and then we get this input dialog. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then it will show the output, the sum of the values of the array are 55. And then I've been able to demonstrate this simple little program in Visual Logic using an array and a loop.